No more kissing China's ass.
China's actually a free and loving country.
I'm out. Yeah.
Yep. Finally happened. The juice caught on to me. They saw several of my videos, and so using their powers, they were able to legislate it so that I would be jailed.
Shabbos!
Just like every Twitter user with LGBT flags in the bio always wished for. When they said free speech but not free of consequences, this is what they meant. They were gonna collaborate alongside the juice and get me in big trouble. Well, here I am, back once again in the very same cell I found myself in 2 years ago.
What a glorious Jewish day.
Back down to rock bottom. You had it all in the palm of your hands, and you f***ed it up. You just couldn't keep your mouth shut. Well, so be it. This time I'm jailed for something a lot more offensive and worse than selling some salt. The punishment for exposing the truth is a lot more severe. I mean, oftentimes they say this orange jumpsuit is the last thing you wear before you die. So if I manage to make it on the news again, just know I didn't do myself out.
Frattango plays.
Did not kill himself.
So anyways, why didn't you guys tell me how based Warhammer 40k's lore is? Or was? If I knew Warhammer was this based, I would have gotten into it a long time ago. I never knew that a video game with lore this based could actually exist. And I can see why Warhammer fans cherish it so much and protect it at all costs. Very few games out there have the balls to write in this type of lore.
Burn the heretic! Kill the mutant! Purge the unclean!
I mean, if you notice, the majority of fantasy settings these days are ultra sanitized, meant to be more of an accurate depiction of the current reality we live in, versus a fantasy setting where you can make it whatever the hell you want. Warhammer makes the most of this freedom, and so I understand why fans don't want to lose what they have. It makes sense. It's not a fear that comes from nowhere, no matter what any gaming journalist site will tell you, which we'll be diving into. The fear comes from seeing other established franchises deteriorate and fall apart over time when they introduce such changes that the core audiences never agreed with. Nobody wants their franchise to become the next Marvel or the next Star Wars. It's understandable. How can anybody not get that? It's such a simple concept. And having a conformist attitude about it doesn't do anything. Personally, I've never seen a single game company make changes that didn't have a snowball effect. And, well, tensions are rising now that we have the Warhammer 40k show coming out. Many are pointing out how these changes being made to the lore are to give wiggle room and freedom to the TV show because, you know, due to it being Amazon, they are absolutely gonna go out of their way to have female custodies. Now, if there's anything the internet knows about Henry Cavill, it's his obsession with Warhammer 40k and The Witcher and PC gaming.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PC.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
you're a PC gamer.
Yeah.
Can we get much higher?
And muscles. The man is very loyal to the original source material of a lot of his favorite franchises. He'll be executive producer, and yet for some reason I still feel like he'll bend the knee. I still feel like Henry will embrace the idea of female custodies and surprise everyone, or at least the Amazon check will make him feel that way. You'll have to forgive my skepticism, but you can't always count out the other possibilities. Now, that being said, Henry Cavill has an excellent track record of having no problems disagreeing and flat out walking out on certain franchises that decided to completely butcher the original source material. So until Henry does bend the knee, in my eyes, he's the last bit of hope Warhammer fans have. Because, well, for starters, he's downright gorgeous. He's the only bit of hope Warhammer fans have to contradict articles like this.
Warhammer 40k has slightly more women in it now, and the neckbeards aren't happy. Warhammer 40k's new culture war crossfire is a mess of its own making. A single story about female custodies has made Games Workshop's sci-fi future the target of grifters and elements of toxic fanbase it has failed to stamp out.
Brother,
What's that? What's that, brother?
That's right, you tell him. I don't know who's paying you the damage control, but you tell him, brave journalists. Obviously, resorting to insulting and downright spitting on veteran fans is gonna get your point across. Yes, everyone's gonna be a lot more respectful now. You've cured the toxicity in gaming. Good job. Yes, just turn to blaming the customers. That's always going to work out. But hey, this is what happens when you join the ESG party. All these journalist sites come to defend you and protect you and shelter you from the dirty neckbeard far-right bigots. Come on. Why would they take ESG money? Well, because they admitted it right here. As their annual report from 2021 to 2022 states,
As a team, we care passionately about people around the world, around us. Our people team, with the support from staff across the business, have been working on improving our induction programming, staff development, and checking our recruitment processes are free from any bias. We are also making good progress on ESG topics. I can see we are doing ever more to focus on topics like diversity and inclusion, delivering on our legal requirements and ensuring our suppliers meet industry ethical supply standards, as well as our commitments on health and safety. As we discussed last year, we have continued our focus on ESG areas by appointing a senior manager to help bring all of our good work together and help move it forward.
now, let me ask you something, children. Is it any coincidence to you that ESG always seems to affect male-dominated franchises? I mean, we could go ahead and look at the process of how Space Marines are created. Here, I'll read it for you. The process of initiation. A Space Marine is transformed from mere human frailty by a threefold process of genetic manipulation, surgical augmentation, psycho-conditioning that ideally takes place over several years during the individual's adolescence. That the process is conducted while the body is undergoing maturation, presents the highest chance of survivability and the lowest chance of tissue rejection. And although partial enhancement of adult subjects is possible, it is extremely dangerous. The process by which Space Marines are created relies inherently on the hormonal and biological makeup of the human male, meaning that only males can be subjected to the transformation in practice. Only a small percentage of potential candidates will, for one reason or another, be regarded as suitable because of genetic, environmental, or psychological factors, and even amongst these, many do not survive the process. Now, let me ask you, why do you think someone that receives ESG funding would have interest in scrapping away the idea that only men can be this? It's not a coincidence. It's not a conspiracy theory. The answer is pretty obvious. Now, keep in mind, we are talking about Space Marines here, not custodies, which are different. The two are entirely different things. But Workshop Games has been pushing for years to try and implement females into both of these things, which are both, in accordance to the lore, roles only taken up by men. It's why the custodies are referred to as sons, and why you have the Sisters of Silence. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The lore isn't gender friendly. It makes a clear distinction between which is which and who is who and what roles each gender plays. So to go, wow, this is groundbreaking, when the Warhammer series has always had its Sisters of Silence, who, mind you, are a lot more impressive than your average custody, by far, is head-scratching, isn't it? To act like women have been excluded when women have been given one of the coolest militant groups in the entire game is pretty disingenuous of journalists and Workshop themselves. They want to do away with this type of lore and instead tell you female custodies always existed, and they expect you to just go along with it if you've been a long-term fan. That's hilarious. And those ties to an ESG score are not helping you in the slightest. We know why this change is happening, and Workshop should be absolutely ashamed of who they've decided to take money from. BlackRock, Wall Street firms reportedly steered billions to blacklisted Chinese companies. A congressional investigation found that Wall Street used billions of dollars of American retirement savings and other investments to buy shares in index funds that included several blacklisted Chinese companies, the Wall Street Journal reported Thursday. The probe, conducted by a bipartisan House committee empowered to devise strategies for the U.S. to counter China, focused on world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, headed by Larry Fink and index provider MSCI. BlackRock and MSCI did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comment. The House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party concluded that through investments in index funds, American financial institutions funneled $6.5 billion last year to some 63 Chinese companies flagged by the U.S., the report said. Now, I do want to clarify, this is old news. I mean, you're only discovering it now because I just discovered it. But I'm also not surprised. And it should go without saying, expect absolutely zero accountability. Expect zero prosecution. Expect BlackRock, with all of their money, to not only get away with it, but continue to do it. Now, last video we talked about BlackRock losing money, and specifically on my birthday, which was absolutely amazing. Best gift I could have ever asked for. Now, a few days later, we're talking about how they've been funneling money to blacklisted Chinese companies, and everybody's reaction is, what? Oh no. It's not really a secret, but if anybody actually follows these paper trails, they would be able to finally realize just how much power and influence BlackRock really has. And it's quite scary, which is why it's important for you as an individual. I know this isn't something you do, but it's time you get used to it. I want all of you, in your free time, to be paying attention to what this company does. In reality, it's what you should be doing with all major shareholders and investors. It's a world that you'll only find boring until something about it catches your attention. Because all BlackRock has to say is, "Nuh-uh, we didn't do that." And they'll literally walk away scot-free. If you or I were ever caught funneling money to blacklisted Chinese companies, we would be imprisoned. If the investigation finds BlackRock to be guilty of this, allegedly, they will just get a little slap on the wrist. Bad BlackRock, don't you do that again. Wink, wink. Now, I shouldn't have to tell you why, as an American, I'm not comfortable with this type of practice. If I have to explain that to you, you shouldn't have a right to vote.
MSCI, which selects the securities that make up the indexes many investors use as a basis for their portfolios, facilitated $3.7 billion of investment into those Chinese companies by including them in indexes, says the committee report. BlackRock invested at least $1.9 billion through funds tracking the indexes, according to the report. The issue the congressional panel zeroed in on involves asset managers like BlackRock using indexes, such as those compiled by MSCI to build portfolios for pensions, college endowments, and other long-term investors. Even though firms such as BlackRock only bought shares through index funds in the blacklisted Chinese companies and MSCI didn't funnel financing to them, the committee contends the firms helped channel American savings into the companies in question. The amounts are relatively small compared with the firm's scale, but the finding cuts to the heart of a political debate set to heat up ahead of the U.S. presidential election: how tough the U.S. should be toward China and the American companies seen as helping its rise. MSCI said the firm will review the committee's report and its recommendations. The New York firm said MSCI indexes comply with all applicable laws, rules, and regulations. If there is a change in U.S. law with respect to investing in Chinese companies, BlackRock said the committee and its report confirm that the firm complies with applicable U.S. laws, while adding, Congress and the administration must work together to create clear rules of the road for U.S. investors.
If it becomes illegal, we'll stop doing it. These giant mega corporations. This is absolutely insane. They know it's frowned upon. They know Americans won't trust them for doing it. And yet their answer is like, well, What can I say? It's not illegal. Oh, you know for sure BlackRock is building underground fallout shelters, preparing for the bombs. You know that's what they're doing. Their incentive now is money, because a few years from now, they're expecting absolute chaos, aren't they?
Donald Trump, who is vying with President Biden for a return to the White House, has floated the idea of significantly limiting China's access to the American market if he wins the president.
Woo! Trump, 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 Trump. The great white hope will free us from these lesbians. But anyway, I don't want to get political with you. Vote for whoever you want. But understand, BlackRock basically told the committee, you guys gotta work together to clear the rules, you know? Tell us what you really want. That's fucking insane. They basically slapped them in the face and told them, we'll do whatever the hell we want until you say otherwise. They have no principles. They are a corporation. They only intend to make nothing but profit. And if that clashes with our American values, so be it. They basically told the US government, get good. They know what they're doing, and they're not sorry about it. I mean, if you look past DEI, if you look past the creation of the ESG score, BlackRock is a company with far more issues than solely making media woke, although that is usually where most people find out about them. We definitely took a relatively small W a few days ago, announcing that they lost $8.5 billion, because in reality that's pennies to them.
Hey!
They have trillions in assets, and with ties to several foreign Chinese companies and governments, the smallest of W's we can get over BlackRock are so insignificant you begin to wonder, is it even worth celebrating when they do fail at something? Now, I don't really want to end it on a low note like that. I want to leave you with a sense of hope, but sorry. Shit just sucks right now. I wish I could be as positive as I was in my last video, but knowing that BlackRock can basically say, yeah, we gave money to these 50 unlisted Chinese companies, but there's nothing you can do about it, not illegal, meh. They just continue to grow more powerful, and I continue to grow more bitter, because you can very much feel their presence in our current media, and nobody likes it. And shame on Workshop Games for saying, yeah, we'll take some of that sweet ESG dough. If you're a fan of the Warhammer franchise, keep close watch on this company. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you stop playing Warhammer. I'm not going to tell you to stop supporting the hobby you love. I'm just saying, pay attention to the company that they are taking money from, and don't be surprised when more changes are made to the lore that you don't like. It's a financially influenced decision, just like I hopefully influenced you into liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you so choose to. That being said, get the hell out of here.
Fritongo sucks ass.